just with the coin I've earned from
Nice.
doing capture. So next up, we're going to talk about our settings. Can I even see the settings in here, or do I have to get out of here?
You have to
I
get
assume I
out.
have to get out.
You have to go into the main menu and then over to options.
Options, user settings. I'm an experienced player. Yeah, I mean, you're not looking at this, but I'll just read them off. So for batting and base running, hitting difficulty, I use dynamic. Doesn't really matter because when you're going to play online, you're going to be playing
Right.
All-Star. But dynamic's more just for my road to the show and franchises that I like to do. Hitting interface, the number one thing of contention. I go zone. I feel zone is the best way to
I agree.
I mean, there's pure analog if you're crazy. There's what's there? Is there timing? Is timing still a thing?
Directional is essentially timing. You do not have to use the directional stick, but it will.
I like directional, but I feel like it's a crutch to eventually moving to zone.
If you use directional, I look down on you. I'm sorry. It's the way it works for me. It's unfortunate.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I played against Pasta Padre, and I beat him. And then he ended up putting up some highlights, and I found out that he was using directional, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm never playing you again because this is ridiculous. But yeah, I understand directional. If you're new to the game, it's good to get your feet wet. But I think if you're going to want to take your game to the next level, I think you have to go to zone.
Agreed. And there's
this is like if you were playing Madden and you user the D line, I feel like that's using directional.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
If you want to take it to the next level, you got to be a linebacker. You got to be a safety.
That's a great analogy because if you play D-line, yeah, you might get to the quarterback a little quicker, but you're not going to be able to cover 4 verts. You're just not going to be able to cover it. So,
yeah, and if you use directional, yes, you might get the inside pitch, but you might pop it up. You might hit it on the ground. With zone, you have so much more precision that you can pretty much.
Well, the other thing with directional, and I'm not sure how many people know this, but directional has a smaller timing window than zone does. So and what I mean by timing window is when you get your feedback and it says good swing or good timing or good contact. So if you're looking inside and you swing, you have to be more in tune with the right time to get a good contact on that than you do a zone. So
interesting. I literally did not know that because I don't use.
Yeah, well, they put a whole post up on the forums in terms of what the difference was, and like analog, the boost to analog is you have a larger timing window with analog. So that's why a lot of people last year were using analog as quote unquote timing because you didn't have to push which way.
Right. You
exactly. And then this year they added stride back in and they changed the timing windows to where you have to push analog to the left or the right now for inside and outside.
Yeah, so for button type I just use buttons, or for input type I use buttons. None of this analog stuff. I got over analog a long time ago. I liked it in like All-Star Baseball 2K6. I was a big fan of the analog swing then, I think. Not anymore. I'm all buttons now. Analog type, I have it on flick, but I don't use it. Plate coverage indicator. I mean, you could turn it off. That seems like a terrible idea.
I actually play with it off.
Right?
And you knew I was going to say it too, but unfortunately, like for me, and this is solely on me, the PCI gets in my way. Like it distracts me. Yeah, really? Absolutely. I turned it on during one of my streams when we were doing pre-release because people wanted to see the different ones because there's like reticle and wedge. And I have mine on wedge, by the way, because it shows up differently on the feedback as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a reticle guy. Sometimes I'll use buckshot. What's funny is I use buckshot in Pro Baseball Spirits, the Japanese baseball game. And they have reticle, but I use buckshot there, which is weird.
I think buckshot...
Wedge seems more realistic because you kind of get like
right,
the bat
exactly
shape, right?
The bat shape where it's larger on the outside and smaller on the inside. But buckshot, I think, gives you a more accurate representation of how the game works. To where the center of the buckshot is where you get your good contact from, and the more sparse the buckshot gets, the less good contact you get with a hit.
You know what? I might go to buckshot. I'm gonna leave the setting on. We'll see what happens.
As Millennium fixes all of TJ's settings to his liking before the game.
No, definitely not doing that. But I'm going to try this buckshot. I kind of want to go wedge because now that I'm thinking about it, I have used wedge also in Pro Baseball Spirits. Well, I'll go with buckshot. Now, see, buckshot I feel like gets in the way because there's a lot of
PlayStation Show, I want to respond to that in the chat. PlayStation Show says that directional is a crutch, but PCI on isn't. What I have to respond to that with is directional is still a timing hitting mode to where you don't even have to push inside, outside, up or down. Whereas having the PCI on, you still have to aim the PCI. You still have to have those stick skills to be able to go up, down, left, and right with it. So
I also don't trust if I don't see the PCI. Because I'll be like, I feel like I'm swinging low and in. But apparently the PCI wasn't there. So I like to have it there so that I know the game is doing what I'm doing.
And also, legit, Goat, the best tip I can have is what Jay Young just put in the chat. 2 strikes, look for pitches in specific areas before you get 2 strikes. When you get to 2 strikes, use your contact swing and just fend off until you get a good pitch.
Yeah, we all know I only look low and in.
Yes, TJ, you need to put that video up more often because online, especially against humans. So TJ made a video last year on sitting low and in, and it was a great video for playing humans.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Was that last year?
That was MLB 15. It was so. I'll give you while he's looking for it. I'll give you the kind of the crux of what it was. Was most users in MLB look to throw the ball low. They believe that if they throw the ball low, that they will get ground balls. Especially a lot of them like to throw low and away because again, they seem to think that if they throw low and away, you're just going to roll over it. TJ has figured out that if you sit low and inside, especially on sliders and off-speed pitches, that
specifically with lefties, because that's where they want to hit. Like in real life, lefties are looking for pitches low and in. Like if you look at Ken Griffey Jr., every highlight of him, for the most part, is him hitting a low and in pitch a mile.
So it's great for that kind of stuff. And you're sitting there, and as long as you have a camera that you can see the difference between a pitch that's too low or a pitch that's on the bottom of the strike zone, you're going to hit balls miles. So.
Where is this video? Did I actually end up putting it on my page?
I'm not sure if you put it on your page. I know it was in a couple chats that I saw once in a while. So,
well, it was in an Operation Sports.
Yeah, it was
on hitting. I feel like it might have been MLB 14.
Possibly. I remember last year looking at it like 3 or 4 times. So.
Yes, MLB 14, my hitting strategy.
Yeah, digital, I agree. Buckshot's too big in terms of having a PCI on, but if you're a PCI off player, like I play with PCI off, even though I play with zone, it gives me sometimes a more accurate feedback to when I'm swinging.
Mm-hmm. I just posted the link to the video in the chat, and if you're watching the archive of this, if you're on my YouTube channel, just search for hitting strategy. I hope it would be the first one that comes up, being that that's the title of the video. Yeah, mainly look low and in almost all the time, and I could just kind of play from there. Especially that's why I like using guys with the big vision and the big PCI. Because if you look low and in, you can get to pretty much everything. Even if you screw up, you can still hit you can still foul off something up and out. Which I think that's a huge thing. People need to learn how to take pitches and foul things off. Like if you're looking low and in and you swing at something high and away, you're probably going to hit a pop-up.
Exactly.
So you kind of don't want to hit it square. You want to just hit it straight back, which is very.
And absolutely remember that if you're looking low, like you said, you can take a strike. You're allowed to take a strike.
Hell, yeah, take two if you really want. What do we got? Hitting view is offset. I'm assuming
I'm a fisheye guy. Fisheye gives a little bit of an offset, but I was able to read pitches better this year on fisheye. It's going to be different for every person. I think that's the most important thing, is to give it 2 or 3 games if you change it before you just start randomly changing again.
Yeah, I usually try to give it like 1 or 2 games. I actually just kind of picked offset to start the season, and I haven't had really any problems. So I've kind of stuck with it. Last year, I really didn't like any of the cameras. I feel like either I couldn't read the speed of fastballs, or I couldn't read the breaking balls, depending on what camera I was on. I feel like there was always something I couldn't
I think
read.
I was on catcher 3 by the end of the year, specifically because of that. I said, you know what? Instead of just reading the fastball, I'm going to read the initial angle and know if it's a ball or strike and go from there.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, I think I ended up on catcher 3 as well. In play view offense dynamic, sure. Ball trail daytime only. Is that a thing? Should I put that on always?
That wasn't working, I believe, in Road to the Show and a couple other modes. I play broadcast in play view for both when I'm playing defense and offense. I think that's the harder view, by the way. So I do not suggest playing broadcast. I suggest either playing on medium or like you have it, dynamic.
Guest pitch off. I think I had it on default, but
Guest pitch off. No guest pitch.
Yeah, guest pitch. It's another guest pitch, like directional hitting, like some would say the plate coverage indicator. These are just crutches. If you're gonna take, to be real good, you need to turn guest pitch off. Granted, if you guess low and in, and you get one of them, that kind of helps you a little bit. But if you get neither, I already know that you're already lost.
Well, I mean,
like if you're guessing low and in fastball and you get neither of those, you probably have no idea.
Well, and the other problem with that is, and I don't think people understand this, if you guess wrong on either one of them, you get a penalty to your contact and your power. If you guess wrong on the pitch, and if you guess wrong on both, it's actually pretty large penalty for that matter. But if you guess right on one and wrong on the other, you still get a penalty. They do not cancel each other out.
Next up, we're going to go over to pitching. I use dynamic difficulty for pitching. Again, if you're going to play online, I think it's always all-star. This is more for Road to the Show, franchise, and that kind of stuff.
I would say if you're...
This year...
just a heads up, just real quick, offline, if you can get your way up to Hall of Fame, which I'm pretty sure is dynamic difficulty you get to anyway, if you get up to Hall of Fame, it will help you online because the pitching on Hall of Fame is a little faster. So you're more ready for it online when you get in.
Pitching interface meter. I just switched this year out of Pulse. I've been using Pulse for the last couple years since they put it into the game. I was like, this is what they want me to use, right? And especially with the lag online, I felt like trying to use meter prior to, I didn't use last year, or I didn't use meter last year, but prior to that, when online was absolutely god-awful, using Pulse was a lot easier because you only have to hit it once. So yeah, but now I came back to meter since online seems to be functional and pretty good most of the time.
What's funny is, and first of all, even with the server issues they've had, lag has been really, really good this year in terms of just gameplay, I think. So, but I went the exact opposite way of you. I used meter last year, and now I use Pulse. I will say that I think I'm in the minority, and using meter is better for online because you're more accurate. Your ratings, it goes in terms of having the pitcher's ratings as opposed to the user input. It goes from classic to Pulse to meter to analog. So by analog, you have the most user input. So your control ratings don't matter as much. So
with classic, your control rating is what governs how close you are to
your control rating and the control of the pitch. And there's been back and forth over this between Cardinal Bird and I as to whether BB over 9 has anything to do with it. I think it has minimal effect. He thinks it affects gameplay. We're going to try to get a corner developer at some point and get an answer on that. So we think that possibly has a part to do with it too.
Yeah. My problem with Pulse was I always felt like the pitch should end up somewhere inside the pulse. And it never, for the majority of the time, it wouldn't if it was bad.
I agree with that. I agree that should be the way it happens, and I understand why they didn't, because when they're thinking of Pulse, I don't think they're thinking of online players. I think they're thinking of franchise players that want more user input than classic. Yeah, classic.
Then I always felt let down when I would have a good pitcher. I would hit Pulse in the best spot, and it wouldn't be
right there. Yep.
Right where I aimed it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we would go classic, Pulse, and then I don't like the whole pure analog thing. I liked it. I like what they did in the like 2K9, like MLB
We throw a
2K9, how
curveball
they
weird,
had
yeah.
their how they did their
Right.
pure analog stuff. This load and fire pitching straight out of NCAA baseball, like '06, not really a
Yeah,
fan of.
I don't like it myself either. I will say that people that learn it have an advantage over everybody else online because, like I said, it takes the most user input and the least amount of player rating. So,
Right. Pitching view, I use Outfield. I used to use Broadcast, but some stadiums I didn't like it, so I always just stuck with
I
Outfield.
love
Also a big proponent of pitching from behind the pitcher
yes,
because you see the real break, not the kind of like. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the break looking at it from behind the plate because in real life, like in high school and stuff, I was a pitcher, so I can realize that, but I didn't catch after like little league, so I'm not used to pitches
right.
looking like that. Also, huge fan of the pitch trail.
I love to pitch from broadcast view when I'm offline, but when I'm online, I have to go back to fisheye because one major thing that has not been in the last 2 years, you can't look back at second base.
Someone was just telling me, like L1.
L1, oh no, well, L1 will actually step off the mound so you can see behind you, but you can't hold L2 and look back at second base like you can offline.
Someone was literally just telling me something like yesterday. Let me.
If that's
Evander a little.
wrong, I mean, I know you can still L2 and R2 deke, but I don't believe you can look back at all. If it's L1, because the only thing I know of L1 is to step off the mound. So if that's the case, then. But also, I am a classic fade guy in terms of the ball. I like the trail, but I feel more accurate with the other one for some reason, which is crazy considering you're not supposed to. Are L2 and the right stick down MVP? Is that true? If that's true,
This is I have heard L2. That's what I was looking up. I've
well,
heard L2.
L2 absolutely makes you look at whatever base offline, not online. L2 makes you look at whatever base you're supposed to. If L2 and right stick is down, you absolutely will have just saved broadcast pitching view for me online.
Sort of these classic fades and stuff.
Oh, classic fade is just the ball. It's just the ball marker instead of the trail. So the only problem with pulse pitching is if you do classic fade, the pulse follows it around. So again, online that's good, but like offline, I like to have a little more challenge. So I'd rather have the pulse just stay in the middle like it does when you turn the ball marker off. So
all right, pitching advanced stuff, pitch delay and API.
that's just offline stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Fielding buttons with accuracy. Come on, guys. If you're not using buttons with accuracy, I feel like you just.
I use buttons with accuracy online, but I actually have been using just buttons because I got tired of not seeing the animations of the game. I really enjoy watching some of the stuff they do, and looking at the meter every time really bugs me. So
No, you gotta look at that meter. You gotta make sure you get that.
that's what
throw.
I mean.
I don't. Again, like with what was all the stuff? Like with directional hitting and hitting X, I feel like I don't trust those enough to just do it. So I feel like I need that meter to make sure. Like if I hit X and the guy makes a wild throw, I feel I'm mad. That's like in Madden when a guy gets a false start. And like I did nothing to make that happen. I hit X to throw the ball to the first base, or I hit circle to throw the ball to first base, and he's going to throw it away for no apparent reason? No, I want to hit the meter, know I made a solid throw.
And I think as this show goes on, I think that's the separation you and I are going to see, because I'm primarily an offline gamer with some Diamond Dynasty love, and you're primarily a Diamond Dynasty gamer with some franchise love.
More road to the show than franchise, but I'm trying to get back to franchise.
Yeah, but again, you're looking at an offline mode. So, and that's why I use buttons without accuracy. Like I said, I like to see the beauty in the game, all the new animations, especially the double play animations, so gorgeous.
You know what? I don't want to see the beauty. I don't want to see a plastic bag floating around in the outfield. I want to see solid throws getting people out. I want to see results. I don't want to see beauty.
I agree that online you are correct. You should be using meter in some type for pitching and for fielding.
You know what? I think I just figured out all my problems right here. Throwing meter on, throwing difficulty, all-star. I think I just figured out all my problems right here. Fielding decision. Now, I have it set to assist. But on online play, it automatically gets set to assist. Even if I turn it... CPU will automatically field the ball if nobody wants to.
Assist is what you do on.
Play. I want it
Can't
off.
turn it off. Can't turn it off.
Nope. I want it off. This is my problem. This is my problem with having Corey Seager at shortstop. He has a weak arm. This stupid assist thing gets him stuck into animations where he's not going to throw.
I'm just telling you. I told you about Corey Seager. You and I have had this conversation so many times. I'm going to take Andrelton Simmons 10 out of 10 times over Corey Seager.
No, because Corey Seager's leading my freaking team in home runs, and I don't know how that's possible.
But are you willing to give up the defense for the home runs?
Yeah. I'll let up that single for the 3-run home run.
So you're more than welcome to go for that then.
In play, view, defense, medium, throwing decision off, throw canceling. I want that
yes,
on,
you want to call it throw canceling on so you can get me into the pickle.
So what's that? I just hold it, right?
No, you tap it twice.
Or you can double tap? But if I hold, it'll just keep going through the meter. But I would have to release it at some point. Throw canceling on. Dive button. No, I do not want.
No, you separate that. Otherwise, you'll get. And I've had this happen. You'll get the jump instead of the dive animation, and the ball will just go trickling underneath your legs. Shout out to Rich Grisham in the chat.
Rich Grisham in the chat. Captain Corey as well. I'm a huge fan of that guy. Advanced fielding, catch position indicator on, defensive shift auto. I know you love doing your defensive shift, so I assume you have that set.
Anyone that follows me on Twitter, I have the defensive shift set to manual. You can set them to manual and not touch them, and they will automatically change for you anyway. That's a little pro tip that even if you set the manual, most of the shifts happen if you don't touch them. But as you saw, I think it was Tampa Bay that I did, where I had all the fielders within 30 feet of second base. If you drew a line, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. A lot of the extreme shifts that I like to do, like extreme right, but bring the second baseman back into the shift right. So you have 3 fielders actually on the infield dirt of the right side. So I like doing a lot of crazy stuff, and it gets in people's heads. Computers' heads. You've seen the computer try to go the other way when you have a shift on, and you can pitch to them and really do some damage.
All right, let's try to get through this last one. General, strike zone, on. Some people turned it off.
I'm an off guy.
I don't know how I feel. I leave it on just for the heck of it, just so I can be extra mad when they hose me on a call. Hot zones.
I actually turned it off recently because the impact is so small, especially online, that I caught myself throwing to the cold zones even when I was thinking to myself not doing it.
Free pro tip. Leave your hot zones on or on preview, because your opponent online is going to throw to your cold zone. Then you hit a home run because you're in zone with your indicator on your cold zone. It's a home run 100% of the time, most of the time. Warm up relievers, yes.
I think
when on, your pitcher will not be fully warm.
Yeah, no. If you have it off, you don't have to warm guys up. It's for people that don't want to deal with bullpen management.
Show me the dynamic difficulties. I leave that on. I guess leave that on new level. I leave it on progress. Tutorials, turn them on all off unless you really want to see them. Post game autosave. What do they call it in those games where people die and things?
Hardcore
or something like that. Iron Man mode. Iron Man mode. Post game autosave.
Team cap, by the way. No, sorry. Anyway, what?
Post game autosave. You got to leave that on. So you don't go like 100 so you don't get like 90 home runs with your guy because you just keep quitting games and restarting them. Post game autosave.
Absolutely.
What is all this stuff? Scoreboard. I've never even seen some of these settings. Scoreboard display on, of course. Pitch select display on, yeah, of course. Swing pitch info on. Box off. Look, guys. Turn balks on.
No,
because nobody online knows what a balk is.
Right, but if you turn balk, my problem is offline. The computer won't balk, so
Yeah, and offline you definitely want to just get through the games. That's quick. Umpire accuracy personalized.
Yeah, personalized is the way.
because I
Yeah,
hate myself.
personalized I think is great because there's actually a thread on OS every year that has each individual umpire and the scouting report on them, which is kind of cool.
Porter Callahan's still in the game.
Porter
'Cause I
Callahan,
hate that guy.
yeah, I remember that guy.
Hate that guy. Check swing appeals on. Yeah, of course. Injuries on. Duh. Ejections on. Vibration on. Game log order default. Sure. Yeah, that's it for all those settings. Lots of settings in this game, and It feels like since they started the game in what 05? So 05, the first year of the actual of the MLB
when
the
it
show
became
series,
the
like
show instead of just MLB, yeah.
I think it was 05, yeah. So pretty much every setting they've had since then, they've just added to. Nothing's really been taken out. A couple cameras have been taken out, and that's
one of the great
things.
things.
I feel like
That's one of the great
there.
things is I don't think, like you said, they make it so that way if you're worried about new settings, they just say, okay, don't use them. Your stuff is still here.
Yeah. So that's our settings.